Hello, everyone. Hey, welcome, Shift Nation. I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend here, Mr. Jeffrey Lamont. I'm excited, man. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I am well. I'm well. I can't complain at all.
Good.
So where are you calling in from today, sir?
I am from the Great White North, Toronto, Canada.
Canadian. Very nice. Is the snow is all melted and everything at this
Yeah,
point?
it's melted just for the 1 week of the year.
It's about to come back.
Um, so it'll probably snow again next week. So I won't pull away the woolies quite yet. But no, I'm in shorts and a golf shirt today. How's that?
Awesome. So things are good. Things are good. Well, great. Well, I appreciate you joining me. You know, we started these teardowns a couple months back, and we find them very helpful. It's a good way to give you some coaching. Number one, I know we're going to get into your story a little bit. It's also a great way to educate our members and those in Shift Nation who are interested and willing to learn. So everyone, give Jeff a welcome to start out with. Let's welcome Jeff here. Give him some good energy to start us out. We're excited. Hey, Angela. There's a lot of you that are kind of joining in as we see here. Awesome. So it looks like we're good and ready to roll. So I want to learn a little bit about you, sir. So share with us kind of your background and how you came into the industry.
So I will be celebrating my 25th year in the financial services business this coming June. So I'm 24 years in. I was born into it, Chris. My dad was in the industry for 40 years before he
Okay.
passed ultimately. And so honestly, it's the only industry I've ever known.
Right.
So I grew up in a household that loved to help people and loved to talk business, to talk finance, and it just seemed natural to come into it and follow my dad's footsteps.
Right. Awesome. And so are you and your dad doing it together? Is he
Well, my dad passed a few years ago, so he was
okay.
working pretty much up until the almost the day he died.
All right. I'm
That's
sorry to hear that, but
no.
that's
Hey,
awesome.
listen, we all go.
Yeah.
But I think what's great is it's an industry that you can do that, right?
Yeah.
It's not really work if you enjoy yourself, and he did, and I do. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, it's great industry to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I remember when I got started, my managing partner he said, he would always say, he said, you're in a noble industry. And I never really kind of understood what that meant. So I really got in the business and you don't know it because you help people, but you don't see the results of that for so long sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I delivered my first death benefit check, when the couple I first started working retired and got their beach house that we were saving for, all those things, you start to realize how rewarding that this profession really is.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, as I said, in my 24 odd years of being in this, I've delivered a lot of claim checks, and I'm fortunate because I've seen businesses get built, I've seen businesses get saved,
Yeah.
all through the use of the products that we provide people. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you got some good comments in here. So we got Ron. Everyone ever say that you look like Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
I
Hopefully that's
have
not
gotten
offensive to you.
no. Listen, I trust me. I've heard worse. I've heard worse. So
That's
I'll
a
take that
compliment,
one.
man. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, oh, cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. So maybe Shift Nation, if you guys can put just a one or a yes, who is struggling with, we talked a lot, you guys, the power hours, all that about, niching, about really narrowing down who you should be talking to, the message, the focus, all of those things. I'm just wondering if you can put it in there, who's struggling with that, because that's what we're jumping in here today to talk about. Give me some feedback here. Ones and yeses, please. All right, as those are coming in here, Jeff, I wanted to just know how your introduction. Yeah, Craig, cool. Advisorist, you came across this at some point, and I'm always interested to hear that. I'm gonna guess, and I'll save my answer and see if I'm right. But how'd you come across this initially, and become aware of what we were doing?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest with you, Chris. I can't actually remember the exact time that I came across it, but I remember being introduced. I think it was through a seminar that I saw Jeremiah do eons ago, and then I came across it. I think through LinkedIn, if you want to know the truth. And then I just I jumped on a power hour, and then I jumped on the following Wednesday and kind of repeated that. And I was like, there might be something to this. So as I was explaining to Jazz, they started talking about the Shift Excel program and the Advisorist Max, and I was like, all right, I'm in. That's it. Sign me up. So I'm a disciple.
Awesome. That's good.
I'm a believer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know it's been really interesting kind of learning. I mean, Jeremiah's been doing this so long and seeing the impact he's had, and then the Power Hour too, to see the impact that has on so many people and businesses and everything. So, well, all right, so we got a lot of yeses in here. Lots of people kind of struggling, working on it's terrible. Finding it hard to meet new people. Terry, welcome to the program. Niching too, so this will be a good start here for you. Jim, we got some answers for you too, sir. So let's start with a couple weeks ago. All right, that's where I'd like to start, because you came into the program and spent a lot of time on niche and USP. And as we're doing these breakdowns, we try to take a piece of our program, find somebody that puts the work in, but's kind of struggling, needs that a little over the hump kind of push. And so it came in the program very active, and I know you struggle immensely with your niche and going back and forth and trying to figure it all out. And so maybe talk about that struggle real quick for us.
It's funny because I'm 46, just create some context here. And so my current clientele is sort of all over the roadmap. It covers the whole socioeconomic background, that you can, the whole spectrum. And as I started through COVID, actually, I started to look at exactly who I dealt with the best and who I enjoyed dealing with the most. Mm-hmm. And it came down to the lawyers I deal with. I've got about 100 lawyers that I currently deal with, that are all Canadian, all in the Toronto area. And I thought, you know what? I enjoy them. I do well with them. Why not try and do more with them? So that's where my niche kind of sits. The struggle that I've had, the struggle that you talk about, is the fact that it's kind of a two-headed monster, because I've got a lot of very senior partner clients, so people that are sort of in their 50s and 60s and beyond. And then I also love dealing with the younger guys, and women, the sort of the early associates and the early partners. So I think it's tough because they have such different needs, are on different ends of the spectrum in terms of planning. So that's where I run into the trouble, Chris.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I understand that. So a couple of weeks ago, you were watching. So Brianna and I did a residency on Jeremiah's Power Hour. We spent a couple of weeks with him, and you messaged me after one and said, you really kind of got to get back at it. You're struggling, need a little help, need a little push. Yeah. And so what gave you that renewed sense of, this is what I need to do?
Well, it's one of those things, Chris. I've had Sales Navigator. I've been a LinkedIn user for eons, probably, I don't know, 15 years, call it. I don't know, something like that. And I've been a Sales Navigator user for 3 years, maybe, and never done a thing with it. And I sat back and I thought, you know what, between the work that I was doing when I got right into the Excel program, I was really excited about it, but it's just life got in the way. Yeah. And when I was listening to that Power Hour and listening to you and Brianna in particular, and obviously Jeremiah, I thought, poop, I gotta get back into this, because this is a resource that is too good to pass up. I can see the value that it's going to create, that it's going to provide.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate sharing that story with me. I appreciate you joining. I was very grateful. So,
no, thank you.
So Jeff Nation, give Jeff some love, because he's going to help us here. We're gonna walk through a lot. The troubles he's having are not exclusive to you, right? A lot of people struggle here, and we're going to talk through a lot of this. So, as I'm kind of going along here, we're gonna bring up I'm gonna bring up some notes. Everyone listening, so if you guys are ready, we're going to jump in. We're going to kind of do a workshop here with Jeff. I know a lot of his background, but I'm going to ask you some questions just for the sake of the group here, just so everyone can hear kind of what's going on. We'll jump in. Again, I appreciate your time, and let's kind of go here. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me get I brought it up already, so we should be good. So if you are working along, all right, at home, let's share my screen here. Sorry, let me make sure. There we go. It's up on the right screen here. So if you guys want to bring up either there we go, like a Word doc or a Drive document or whatever you want here. This is how I would start. Okay. And I just want to make sure I had something funky happen, so you guys can all see my screen, right? I lost view of everything, but we can make that work here. Okay, so Jeff, you can see my screen here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
awesome. Perfect. All right, so what I wanted to kind of review is just basically where you are. So you work with attorneys, right? This is your main focus.
Yep.
And you have two kind of sub niches from here. Your first, you said, were experienced, right?
More senior. So
Yeah, senior
a little more
partner
established.
level. All right, and then second would be the younger, right?
Yeah, both ends of the spectrum there.
Right. And now your distinction, and I've asked you this, what's the distinction there? Why is it two separate niches, would you say?
So, okay, so I'll give you an example, painting a picture with a couple of clients that I've got. So I got one client right now that is just at the tail end of his career, and he's amassed a pretty substantial fortune. You know, an 8-figure net worth. That now his concerns, his worries aren't so much, you know, providing for the family and things of that sort. It's how do I get this to the next generation? How do I leave a legacy? How do I make an impact that goes beyond me? So
Yeah.
there's that kind of person, right? So they've amassed their fortune. Now it's about legacy, preservation, legacy, so on and so forth. And then you get the other end of the spectrum, which is the younger guys, that they're, they get paid well up here. And I know the larger firms in New York, Chicago, Boston, LA, and probably throughout the whole United States, they get paid very, very well in the early
Yeah.
stages. And, compared to the Joe average. And so they've got a problem because they are making money that most of their peers are not. Um, you know, if you're making six figures right out of university, that's pretty good. And a lot of those people, they spend it on fast cars and entertainment, we'll call it.
Yep.
And so they struggle to save, and they don't see themselves as being that long in the tooth, um, senior partner. They can't see that far into the future. And
Sure.
so they're more worried about, how do I save for retirement? How do I make sure my family's looked after? How do I pay off my student debt? So, I've seen people all on that spectrum, Chris. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to take them through that journey. And it's a
Yep.
different journey for both ends.
Right. And this is, so again, everyone, Shift Nation listening, like, again, Jeff, I appreciate this very much. So first we want to identify who it is we want to work with. Now, Jeff knows this, okay? You may not. So this is where you got to ask yourself questions. This is where you kind of go through your Rolodex in your head. Who are my top clients? Where did they come from? What do they have in common? Who do I like working with? What connections or insiders do I have? CPAs, right? Do I have friends that can refer me that are very outgoing? You're trying to find that doorway in for sure. Because the next part of this is knowing their problems, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But anyone watching, that's what we want to do first. Who we're trying to talk to, what are the things that are kind of there, and why they would need us for that. Now, I saw a question, a Facebook user. What specifically do you do with these attorneys, Jeff? We're going to get into that, right? That becomes a part of this equation, but the part of the equation is actually what they need. What problem are you solving for them? Not what we do as advisors. And that's one of the number one mistakes I see most advisors make in their niche and their USP is coming in and saying, I can do this. I can help you with financial freedom. I can do a financial plan for you. I'll do. None of those things are really what they need or want. They want you to solve a problem, right? And so Jeff, when you're looking at these two, sub niches under attorneys,
Yeah.
what is the one problem that experienced attorney is struggling with that if you solve it, you're his hero?
I think the biggest thing, I mean, again, being from Canada, and I think there's probably a few Canadians on here as well, we get taxed very heavily, and that's a major issue, and it's become even more so through COVID as our government needs to figure out ways to pay for all these programs. And so amassing the fortune's one thing, retaining it, making sure all those hard-earned dollars stick around and go on to better causes than just the government is a huge pain point for a lot of those people.
Okay.
We pay north of 53% tax on our income.
Right.
At a very low number. You don't have to be making millions in order to hit that. So that's a major pain point for most of my clients on both ends of that
Okay.
that spectrum.
And that's another thing, right? This is the thing that makes what we do so unique. We all have access to a lot of the similar programs, products, solutions, technology, but the problems we solve for the clients we have in the specific areas, either from a geography standpoint, whatever it may be, is what makes us differentiates us, right? So if you were to leave it there, would you say that's the one problem that you solve for both of them on the high end?
That's I would say that's the number one problem.
Okay.
The kind of subsect of that is kind of how do I save enough, whether that be for retirement for the younger you know
Okay.
uh, for the younger attorney, and then for the one that ultimately gets there, it's, oh my god, I did save a lot of money. Now what do I do with it? So it's about, like I said, preservation and legacy.
Yep. Okay. Now, my next question I would ask you, all right. So again, those of you playing at home, the next question is, what would your client say is the number one reason they work with you?
What would they say to me?
Yeah. Yeah. If you had to survey your clients and ask them,
Why
why
they
do you
deal with
work with
me?
me? What's the number one reason? Why me out of everybody else? What differentiates you?
Because I help them realize what the problem is, not just now, but what they're going to face in the future. I've got the unique position, Chris, of having dealt with people through the whole spectrum. And that's the beauty that I take from having worked with my dad for as long as I did. Is I've gotten to see, I've had the opportunity to see people along that whole continuum. From, some of the my best clients today are people that 25 years ago were just getting going in their career. And so I've gone through that journey with them, and there's not a lot of people that can say that same thing, especially with attorneys in the Toronto area.
Okay.
So I've seen it, I've lived it, I can speak their speak.
Awesome. Awesome. And I, that's really good. So, and I love the pause, right? Because how many of us have sat there and actually thought that? What makes me so different? If I'm sitting in a room with 10 other people that do what I do, what am I going to say to that one person who's interviewing us that makes them choose me over the other 10? That's what we're doing here. We're interviewing. That's what we're doing. So, what differentiates you, Jeff Nation? What are the things that really stand out to you? All right. Um, Jeff, I think the two things you said that struck me where number one, you've had experience doing this already. You've already worked start to finish with others. That's important. You've been there, done that. The second is from what I know with you. Maybe you can explain to our the people watching and listening to this.
Yep.
You're not trying to be an asset manager.
That's right. That's right.
So explain that a little bit. How you differentiate there and what you do differently.
Yeah. So again, for those that aren't, Toronto is really the sort of financial mecca of Canada. So if I'm standing downtown Toronto at my office, I can throw a blanket and probably hit about 20 asset managers, wealth managers, if you will. And so for me, it's how can I fill the gap? There's not that many government sponsored programs here, 401k, IRAs, things of that sort. We don't have as many of those available to us up here to save adequately for retirement. So for a lot of those people, especially in the younger end, it's they're going one way, whether it's through their bank or through a boutique firm.
Yeah,
They're getting that taken care of, and they need that specialty advice. I don't want to provide that. I cannot provide that myself. So
sure.
I'm on some of the alternative ways of providing for retirement. And on the legacy preservation side, I mean, there's no greater product than life insurance than whole life insurance. So, and that's something that the banks themselves up here cannot provide.
Okay. Again, I'm just taking notes here. So this is a process I've done many times with many advisors, myself included. When you write these things out, it gets it all out of your head. Number one, being in your head for this process is a bad place to be. We tend to get emotional. We worry about who we're missing out on that would work with us and all of these different things, right? And our experiences. So we want to get it all out of our head here. All right. So let's kind of keep moving through here a little bit. So what are some of the things you say when you're sitting? This is the other thing I say to advisors. We tend to overcomplicate this. I'm sitting across from a client. I'm having this conversation. And there's certain things I say, when I say them, I know that I got that client, that prospect. Their eyes light up, they're nodding their head, they know what I'm saying, they're in tune with my message, right? And that's something you start to repeat, and that's how you start to build that process. What are those things you say or do that you feel like you start getting them on your side of the table a little bit?
Depends on what if we're dealing with the pre-retirees, or we're dealing with like the sort of the middle end, like even the ones that are my age. It's, what are you going to do if the firm closes tomorrow? Well, like, what would you do? Like, can you stop working today, or when do you want to stop working? And the reality is, I know full well, Chris, that they don't have, if they use the normal channels or the normal tools available to them. So you're, up here in Canada, it's RSPs and TFSAs, registered accounts. They can't save enough. So I know full well that 99% of the time when I ask them if they're going to be able to retire adequately, the answer is going to be no. I know that these are individuals, Chris, that are used to making 6 and 7 figure incomes, and they can't amass enough money using those tools.
Okay.
So it's like a setup question, because I know the answer is going to be no 99.9% of the time.
And what do you say next? What's the next thing you say that gets them to see, oh, you're the guy to talk to?
I think usually it's the fact that I know, well, I'll explain to them that I know that they're, at least up here, if you're part of a major company, most of them offer some sort of pension, right? There's some sort of pension plan that you can get into. Lawyers don't have that luxury. None of the large law firms up here provide for that. So my next thing that I say to them is, I've got some tools and some strategies that we can use to help supersize your retirement savings. And that usually is, they're on the edge of their seat as soon as you say that.
Supersize?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually said supersize, but yeah, sure, we'll use that.
All right. That's all right. We're kind of walking through this.
Okay, I don't know where
that. Kind of
listen, I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
That's all right. That's all right. We're not married to anything. It's just the brain dump, right? I'm just taking some notes here. Not a problem. All right.
And then on the other end, it's for the older individuals, the more established, it's where do you want your money to go? Have you thought about what happens when you pass away? And it's amazing how few people have given that thought. I find, Chris, just asking the questions usually puts me in the right place, because nobody asks them those questions.
Well, yeah. Where your funds go?
Yeah. What do you want to see happen with all that you've built up when you and your wife, or you and your spouse, pass away? And I'll tell you, I get some puzzled looks when I ask that question.
Let me zoom in a little bit for somebody maybe trying to follow along here. So I'm interested. So Shift Nation, let's get some feedback here. What are you seeing as some common? Are you seeing any common themes in so far what we're doing here? Can I get fries with that supersize? Come on, Shift Nation. What are you guys seeing? Is there any themes you're seeing? What are the things you're hearing from? And you may not, and that's fine. Then we got to keep going a little bit more. I'm starting to see some themes and some reoccurrences here. And this is what we see what happens, right? As we start to get this all out there, there's like repeating themes that we start to say in what we do. All right, showing an interest in them first. Tim, thank you. Number one issue I see almost every time we look or review a USP or a niche. Why is that? I already explained a little bit, but let's go back to this a little bit. We want to fix the problem. As advisors, we want to fix the problem. We want to tell people, here's what we do, here's what we can do for you, here's why you need to work with me. They don't care, right? They don't know how. Again, I say you don't know how the sausage is made, right? You just want to know that it tastes good. I'm not really a sausage eater, but you get the idea there. Same thing here with these clients. They want to know what you can do for them. Why? What is your value to them? What you do, that's on the back end. That's for a later conversation. Okay, so not a problem there.
Chris, one thing I think, and it's just a different mindset, at least was for me, is I find a lot of people don't even know what the problems are. They don't know about the problem because it's too far in the future. They don't even see it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that that's sometimes the value that we can play as advisors is, especially, and that's part of my story, is the fact that I have taken people through the continuum. So it's helping them understand these are the pitfalls that you might run into in the future, and these are the ones that we want to try and help you avoid today.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they just don't even know the answer yet. They don't know what the
Right.
problem is.
Right. I saw a comment. Who was it? A Facebook user. I just see sense of urgency. I think the sense of urgency when we put this into practice, I just wrote it here. I'm going to ask you, Jeff, what are the things you say? Like what creates urgency in your clients to saying, man, Jeff, that's awesome. When can we do this? What do we need to do? What gets them moving?
A lot of, I mean, everybody's different. It's,
Yeah.
I find that I use a lot of insurance products, whole life insurance products. So illustrating them the value of starting today versus waiting a year or two is huge. I'm again on the insurance side. It's a bit salesy, but the medical close is always a sense of urgency. We don't
Yeah.
have any lease on tomorrow, so who knows what's going to go on. So why don't we start the process today is another big one. And just, I mean, getting them excited. I mean, that's the big thing is just,
Yeah.
getting them excited about getting control. I had actually a client emailed me the other day and thanked me for helping them face the demons. They said that was their words, not mine. That I made them face the demons that had been bothering them, that they've been putting off. So, I mean, that was their view. I didn't really think I was calling up
Yeah.
demons.
Yeah. No, that's one of the things that those pain points that we point out, like facing those demons. People want to avoid that stuff because it's difficult, especially when they don't have an understanding of it, right? They need someone like us to help them along the line. So that's a really good one. Nikki, I love your comment. They don't care. I tell my wife all the time, no one cares about you. Like I care about you, but no, like she's so concerned about different things. I'm like, everyone's got their own things going on. They're worried about themselves. You worry about yourself. It's all gonna be okay. Right. And I think that's similar with our prospects, right? They're worried about themselves. They have their own lens that they're looking through. And it's up to us. That's why niching is so important, because when we can get on that side and look through their lens and figure out what that problem is, what creates that urgency, that's the holy grail of what we're trying to accomplish here, creating that urgency that gets them to chat with us. Okay. So we're working towards that. So thanks everyone for sticking with us. We're going to keep working here. Hopefully this is helpful. Is this helpful? Again, thanks, Jeff. Jeff, thanks for spending time and sharing, right? You're sharing. I see a lot of people come up with great comments here. I think it's got them thinking themselves. So again, I appreciate it. I got a lot of questions about how Jeff runs his business. We'll see if we have time to get into that. I want to make sure we get through this full kind of workshop here and make sure you guys have what you need to kind of move forward. Awesome. All right. So let's kind of jump in just based on time, and thank you guys for the comments. And this is not an easy thing. I get people all the time that ask me, and so let's back all the way up to niche. So you've got your thoughts out, you've got some of these things out there now. How do you kind of reverse engineer this? Okay. So we talked already about where to look. And now you want to look into the future almost. And Jeff, you've been able to do that. You saw your dad go through it and see the career he had and kind of saw that. You've worked with a lot of clients. Now you've seen that. Those of us starting out are just starting to figure out where our niche is, where our avenue is. Reverse engineer it. Ask yourself the question, 20 years from now, is this who I want to be working with? And is this what I want to be doing? Are these the problems I want to be solving? That's the question. Okay. And if the answer is yes to that, now we come back to this and we say, all right, based on this, what can I put together that when someone reads what I write, number one, they're going to think, oh, Jeff knows me. Jeff knows who I am. Not only does he know who I am, he knows the problem I have. Number two. Number three, not only does he know the problem I have, he has a solution that it seems like I've never heard about that he has, and I have to talk to Jeff in order to get that, or I'm going to miss out, right? It's that whole fear. People work much harder to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. We know this, right? They don't like pain. It's up to us to kind of inflict that pain a little bit. So that's why I really like helping them face the demons. Inflict that pain a little bit, get them to see that emotional piece that, hey, if I talk to Jeff, he can fix this problem for me, make my life better, easier. I need to talk to him. That's what we're trying to elicit here. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. All right. Everyone's giving you some good love on here, Jeff. Hope you see that. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Now, one of the other things I want to touch on actually before we move forward here is this emotional component. And Jeff, I'm going to call you out here a little bit. I know you won't mind. I know the guy you are. You're very emotional about, and when I say emotional, crying or anything like that, but worrying about if you're going to alienate somebody, some area of your niche of the people that you work with. There's a really big concern there of making it right so that you hit the right tone and you don't alienate them or don't miss business potentially there. Has that been kind of one of the sticking points for you and really moving forward?
Yeah, a little bit, because I mean, I do have a number of clients that aren't attorneys and have no no relation to probably don't even want to see an attorney, much less be one.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a bit of that, but it's as Jeremiah has said repeatedly through the power hours, and you and Brianna have touched on in so many different ways. The niching is huge. I mean, I can feel it just in the last year that I've been really concentrating on the niche. The message just becomes clearer, right? And I still deal with a lot of people that aren't attorneys. I just don't outwardly market to them.
Sure.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's the big difference, right? I can still serve those people. It's just I'm not really marketing to them.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. No, all good stuff here. So let's just talk, like you said, the niching. Let's talk about niching real quick, because another misconception I see a lot is you're focused on attorneys. That's great. And I want to put a little disclaimer here. Just because Jeff does it and it works for him and he's having success with it, and just see other people that we interview on here having success with what they're doing, doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because everyone's so different, right? He's in a different market. He has different expertise. He has a different background. The reason we love doing these is we take the principles, the foundations, the concepts, and apply them to our own businesses. So while he's working with attorneys, you could be a subject matter expert, right? You can work off of specific products or strategies. You become an authority, right? We've got a couple of shift members that have written books, done podcasts, been on TV interviews that you can use to increase your authority. You can be a virtual advisor. You can go after political affiliation, religious. There's so many different ways. And Michael Keitzis, who's a great friend of Advisorist, wrote a great article. If you just Google Keitzis' 6 types of niche for financial advisors, you'll get that. You don't have to stay so narrow focused in just an industry or profession if that's not what you want to do. Really figure out what you want to do and spend some time there. So Jeff, you know what you're doing, you know what you want to do. So that's great. So let's keep moving on here. We're going to start to put some of this stuff together. So when I look through this, all right, I see a couple of things that really stick out to me. The preservation and legacy. Attorneys are going to get that. A lot of attorneys are going to get that. They know trust law. They know how some of these things work. They know the tax codes. A lot of they're especially in the corporate world or anything like that, they're looking at helping their clients. So taxes become a big beneficiary of this, right? Especially in Canada, as you already mentioned. And you're solving problems they didn't really know they had. Those are like the 3 things that really stuck out to me. You're doing it in a different way too, not gathering assets and everything. But the issue here for you, right? So we got to look at what's the potential roadblocks for us. Roadblock for you will be if this is a problem they don't necessarily know they have yet. They're in life. They've got kids, they're running their business, they're making money, they're going out on the weekends, whatever. And they think they're doing well. They're saving to their 401k, their IRAs, whatever it is. They may not be aware of it. So that's number one. So that's one of the potential pitfalls I see that we got to kind of address up front or start to make them aware of. Number 2 is, again, when we're looking into the future, are they concerned yet with taxes into the future? Probably because of their earnings. But again, what's their thinking in as far as their legacy or what they're building there? So we need to, those are 2 big things I see. And Jeff, I don't know if you agree or disagree with that, but those are 2 things I see as we're kind of building this out that we need to be concerned about and make sure that we're focused on and educate these prospects on.
Like I look at and the same as can be said probably anywhere. It's not just indigenous to Toronto or Canada, but I mean, most young people when they're done school, even if they're making 6 figures, I mean, to live in Toronto as an example now, the average house price is north of $1 million. I mean, that's just it's a mind blow. So if you're making $100,000 or $130,000, which is what these young associates are making at the larger firms, I mean, that doesn't leave a lot of money to do things, especially if you've got diapers to pay for and car payments and school debt and everything else in between. So I mean, they can't see that far out because it's not real to them. They got enough problems as it is.
Yeah.
So they don't feel they've got enough money to save.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. So these are all, yeah. So these are all things you want to think out, right? Exactly what we're doing here, putting ourselves on that side of the table with our clients, seeing what they're looking at, the lens they're looking at through what their concerns are. All right. So let's pause here for a moment. I'm going to bring up your profile, Jeff.
Uh-oh.
All right. So now we're getting to the point we got to apply this, right? This is kind of the beginning exercise. Now we're going to apply this. All right. So let's think of the journey of a prospect. Okay. Now, shift members, you're going to know this, understand it. Anyone that's not in our program may not, so I'll just explain a little bit. We employ a marketing strategy, prospecting strategy using our software. We don't sell anywhere. It's our software that we help kind of accelerate and get your message out there to many, many people, right? So the first introduction many people to have to what we're doing is a message, a direct message to them in their LinkedIn inbox that says, hey, Chris, I work with attorneys. I'd love to work with you, right? We're going to do better than that, but you get the idea. And that's kind of the first introduction. So I want you guys just to understand the journey someone's on. And I know this some of this may be a little foreign, but these are all really important components. Feel free to check out meetwithadvisorist.com. We got plenty of testimonials and everything there. You can set up a time with one of our coaches to kind of see how we can fit you in and to some of these things if you're needing extra help. But specifically here, we get that message as a prospect. They're going to do one of two things. On the initial, what we call a handshake message, they're going to see your title, your name, your title, and part of your USP. All right. And you can look at people, you can go to your invitations, like people trying to connect with you and see what they see. All right. And you can see people I may know. Here's a name. Here's Constance, licensed esthetician, right? Here's Dan, special teams coordinator. Brennan, he's an agent. State Farm intern, right? So this is what they see when they see you. This dictates if they're going to accept your connection or not, if they're going to connect with you or message with you. This is the first thing they see. This is why we want to improve this. All right. The next thing that happens in their journey is they're going to come to your profile, and this is what they're going to see. So, Jeff, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit. Hope you're okay with that.
Big boy.
You knew what you signed up for, right?
Yeah.
And you know these things, right? These are things we teach in our shift program, and Jeremiah's talked about this. Brianna does a great job on this in our program, coaching this. The first thing they see is this banner image. Now, to Jeff's credit, he has an image here. Most of you, shame, probably have the blue templated picture image that LinkedIn puts up there. All right. So check your profiles. You don't have to admit it, but that's probably where most of you are at, right? If you haven't done that. So we got something there, but think of this like your billboard. I'm driving along the highway, see it on the side of the road. What does it say? What does it do to capture their attention? First thing here. Okay. Profile image. Good. We want your face there, professional, a little dark. We can lighten it up, but we're on our way there. All right. Jeffrey Lamont, what do you do? And then your USP is going to go here. So many of you know first name, middle name, last name on LinkedIn. You can plug this into the first name, and the last name, you can put your title. LinkedIn's kind of cracked down a little bit on this. We've had some people have issues there, some that haven't. It's not too concerning. So, it's something we just kind of warn you about, but many still do it and have no issues there. So title becomes, now I understand many of you on here have compliance issues. So I see the comment here, Nikki. Yeah, free real estate, right? It's all free real estate here. The title becomes important for a couple reasons. Number one, we look over here, agent at New York Life. Does that sound sexy, right? That's not something you're like, oh, wow, that person knows things, right? Or it's very standard, bland kind of title. So this is where, and we'll talk about this in a moment with you, Jeff. We're going to apply some of this stuff, but that's one thing we want to talk about is our title. All right. The next is that USP. It's already showed you here, and that's going to go right here. We want to create something. There's a formula for this. Target market, problem you solve, and then the reason they should work with you, the pain point that they have on what you solve and why they should work with you. All right. And then our about section. We have a template for this as well. So Jeff, we are going to jump into this. So that's kind of the journey, right? So they see your message, they see your billboard. All right, I'll learn a little more. Oh, Jeffrey. Oh, he has a cool title. Yeah, he sounds like someone that can help me. money sense strategist, right? Like Nikki, that's great. Being creative like that, just something a little different to catch their eyes. Then the USP is going to give them that first intro, right? That's that 30-second elevator we always taught about. Get that first little piece out there, get them interested. They come to your about section, they read more. Maybe they go to your website, whatever it is. That's the journey we're headed on. So that's how we want to take them. All right. Jeff, thanks for being a good sport. Let's jump in here. So the first thing we want to do is your banner. All right. So here it's a billboard. So we want like a slogan or catch, like I'm gonna say catchphrase is not a great word for it, but something there that we can use, right? Dawn, great question. Dawn's asking a great question. Do you offer the about template? We have all the templates you could ever want in our Shift Accelerator course for this. Again, meet with advisorist.com. Check it out. Sign up with one of our coaches and learn more about that. But we've got all the help and tools that you need inside of that. Templates for all of the messaging, all the stuff we're talking about. So I want to come back to a couple things here. So you have some questions here. Questions. I love questions. I love questions that are leading for one reason. We need to tell our prospects what we want them to think, right? We want to lead them in that direction. If you leave something very open-ended, it's not specific enough to get them. You want them saying yes or no in their head, right? Do you struggle with this? Yes. Great. I'm a good prospect. Let me go to the next part, right? So I like questions. Also, I like statements. Something like this, Jeff, you had mentioned that. Amassing your fortune is one thing, keeping it is another.
Yep.
That's great. Oh, that's intriguing. It's intriguing, right? And think about it. That's something that's intriguing. How does Jeff help me keep it? What am I missing here? So I really like that. And I like some of your questions here. You know these prospects, right? This is where I'm going to defer to you. You know the people you're talking to. What do you think would resonate there?
I think the number one thing that kind of fits both is that line that you had sort of highlighted up above that statement. The idea that it's not how much you make, it's how much you how much you build or how much you save.
Okay.
I think that works that on that whole continuum.
Okay.
Because the thing about attorneys that I find, and a lot of high income earners, it doesn't matter if they're athletes or entertainers, they're bad with money because they think that it's just a continuous funnel that's just going to keep printing off money, and one day that's going to end. So it's not how much you make, it's how much you save, really.
How much you save or keep?
How much you keep, save, I don't know.
Okay, so this is good stuff, right? So why would we say keep or save? So this is why I like keep more, right? Because again, you're going after two different people, right? And this is where we got to think again. You got two different niches, so we're going to come back to this. And here's how I would approach this. Your broad niche is attorneys, right? And you have the ability. What we're going to do is we're going to build your profile as going after attorneys. You can sub niche, what's called sub niche, where you can go after younger attorneys and attorneys with more experience in your campaigns. Okay. So we want to approach this. And why I like keep is because this applies to taxes. This applies to your savings. This applies to legacies for your beneficiaries, all of those things. So and this is my opinion, right? A couple of people saying keep in here. But I think that is, you want to be, so Jerry Seinfeld, I love Jerry Seinfeld. He talks about the economy of words and like the impact of words, using as few words as possible to make the most impact. So using something like that where it's multifaceted, because that also allows your person reading it to figure out what part they want to keep, right? It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. You're telling them what to think here, like I had mentioned. And then in my mind, oh, yeah, I pay a ton of taxes. Or, oh, man, I'm not saving for retirement. Or, oh, I got a lot of beneficiaries. It allows them to kind of fill in the pain point for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So are you suggesting then that should be on the banner?
Yeah. Yep. So we put that on the banner, and I'm just going to write, and we got to flush this out, right? We're just kind of going here. You're going to have a framework. Once we're done with this, we'll keep working on it in time. We got 15 minutes. I want to make sure we're respectful of everyone's time here. So, but yeah, images. We want images that are attorneys or that promote our message, right? Gotta spell attorneys right. Attorney, man, I can't even spell it today. So like Nick Davidson, for example, right? He was one that oh, sorry, I was looking back. All right. He was one that he's been a great member of ours. He put out a banner image with an image of a doctor, and he got like really good business off that because people say they don't see anyone going at them that had a image that was specific to them in their industry. So putting things in here that are specific to them. Oh, why can't I spell? That's not right, is it? Is there a Y in there?
No, no Y.
All right. Doesn't matter. All right.
Yep.
Looks wrong to me. All right. So we want images in there that kind of talk about our message and the attorneys that we're talking to. All right. All right. How much of your millions will you keep? So I like that, right? That we're kind of going the right direction there. Sometimes we got to think, is that too much, right? Oh, it is Y. I think it is Y. We got some help out here. All right. Right. So Nikki, I think you'd mentioned before a niche of veterans. You'd want to use a veteran in there. All that stuff works. Okay. So the next thing is our title. Jeff, what do you call yourself when you talk to your clients?
I don't actually. I'm horrible at that, Chris. I can't lie.
Okay.
I have a different answer all the time. I don't have a patent answer.
So give me a couple of them. Let's workshop this a little bit.
I say that I've said that I'm a wealth manager. I mean, they're all very generic, Chris. I'll be honest with you. I mean,
Okay.
You know, insurance advice. I mean, I've said I'm an insurance advisor, legacy planner.
Okay.
Nothing very exciting, to be honest with you.
All right, legacy planner. Let's see. So what do you do? Let's look back. That's where we look for these themes, right? That's why we take these notes. So legacy, preservation. You're not gathering their assets necessarily, adequately saving, excitement, helping. All right. I mean, I don't mind legacy planner. Not a ton of people going out there, tax and financial strategists. So yeah, Shift Nation, if you got some idea, Jazzy Jeff. I like that one. That one works.
If I use that, I'll give Nikki full props for that one.
So here's where like we can kind of go through, right? So we got planner. I've seen strategists used. And we can keep on working through this. The reason I like using these documents, and I'm not sure, I'm using a Drive doc, but explore strategist, right? I think this will give us like synonyms, or we can Google synonyms. No, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. But if you use like a Word document, you can do synonyms, you can Google them, you start looking for words, right? Just start playing on them and just using them. So legacy planning, legacy strategist, and we can kind of keep working through that, but using something just a little bit more specific to what you're helping them do here. And I don't necessarily love legacy because, again, these younger guys probably aren't going to really understand legacy as much. Yeah, but if we use something, let's see, for the younger crowd, we'll come back to it. So if you draw blanks, right, this is kind of the part of that process. We'll come back to that. Now, 3 is your USP. All right. And so niche, problem, an emotional component, right? We'll put component here. All right. All right. So niche, we're going to talk about attorneys here, right? Sure. The problem, I think it's, what do you think the problem here is, Jeff, after the, and Shift Nation, what do you guys think? What's the problem you're solving here? So if I go back here, right, I see a couple things. Legacy preservation, right? We talk about that. Amassing that fortune. So we've already used that. So this is the time to use a couple things there. But I think right here.
So for me, Chris, I think the thing that encompasses sort of a message that resonates to both is the part that we already talked about in having in the banner, which is it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you keep, right? I think that's the underlying theme,
right,
of all of it, really, because it transcends both groups, right?
Okay.
Because in the younger end of the spectrum, it's they're earning, but they've got little left at the end of the day because it's going to lifestyle creep and maybe debt repayment. And then the other end, they've earned and retained all this money or built up all this wealth, and now it's how do they keep it from the almighty tax man, right? Asset protection, as somebody said, right? It's how do I retain that? So it works on both ends.
I want to come back to this. I know you were kind of said it in jest, but like the supersized savings expert.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like probably a certain problem too. So I think, like you said, keep more of your money. All right. And then, but let me ask you this. All right. What's the why of why they work with you emotionally? What are you solving? What do you give them that makes all this worth it, right?
I can tell you, because I've had this said to me by a few of them, a few of my clients, is I make them face the problems that they don't or that they wouldn't otherwise face, right? I make them deal with it. I'm like the call to action guy. I'm their Jiminy Cricket. I'm the the devil or the angel, depending on what shoulder they're looking at. That's helping them, again, like I said earlier, face the demons. Like they're most of them are happy living their happy life and not worrying about the future, and I've forced them to think about it.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, so let's put this together now. So I think lots of great stuff coming in. Taking Trudeau out of your pocket. Everyone's loving it. Give Jeff some love. I mean, obviously he's sharing, which we appreciate. We're diving deep. He's letting us pick this apart here, which we appreciate. Hopefully all you guys are getting a ton of value. So thank Jeff again. Yeah, meet with Advisorist.com if you need some help sorting through this. One of our coaches would be happy to jump on and kind of explain how we help you through some of these things here. They don't know they will have. Yes, problems to solutions they don't know they'll have. And I think that's kind of the key. And I think, like you said, facing those demons. So we want to start out when we're doing a USP. You can ask it as a question, like this is what we're trying to do. Like, what's the question? You can do that. Or you follow this kind of format. So we want to start out with a strong word, right? Partnering, assisting. What else here? Helping. This is, again, where you start using synonyms. You start working through all that, right? Thanks, everyone. Lots of good love in here for you, Jeff, here. Assisting, helping, educating. So tell me if any of these words start to jump out at you or things you're thinking about here. Navigating, I like that one. Thanks, Craig. You like any of those?
Yeah, I'm big into educating. I think that's great. Because that's the other thing that sets me apart. I help them understand why they're doing what they're doing. I don't just tell them what to do. I tell them the why behind it, why it makes sense. Everybody likes a good strategist for sure. I think strategizing is, maybe an overused term now, but it's another one I like.
Okay. All right. Understood. You said I'm kind of typing out here, right? This is just kind of how you do understanding the why, face tough decisions. And I think like solutions. I've seen this a couple times to problems you didn't know you have. All right. So these are all kind of, and I'm just typing here. This is what I do. I just kind of type. I just want to get it all out there. Foreseeing problems, right? Foreseeing, I like that. Take care. Yeah, I think the only person that's going to take care of your future you is current you. So I think that's really good. Ensuring attorneys have the answers to the questions they didn't know to ask or don't know to ask before it is too late.
Good one.
Right. There's an idea. And again, we just get it out there, right? Making the case for any tax master, foreseeing problems. I like foreseeing, right? Helping attorneys foresee the problems they didn't know, the solutions they aren't aware of, right? We just kind of keep typing through here. I think the other thing that you had said, let me go back to it. That's why we write everything down, because there's things you say that kind of keep coming back up. Right. All right. I think facing the demons, right? Helping attorneys foresee the problems and face and make tough decisions now. So this is like a whole nother one, I think. Actually, I'm going to copy this. We're going to stop here. I'm going to keep going, Jeff, and I'll keep working with you for sure. But so foresee problems and make tough decisions now. Their future self will thank them for. All right, so we just got a ton of different ideas here. Let's just start about putting it together. So Jeff, let's talk through this. A couple more minutes left here. The tax brick road. Got some Wizard of Oz fans. So what in here is kind of speaking to you?
I can't lie. I kind of like where you were headed near the bottom of those last three.
And that's the idea, right? That's why I kind of keep typing out. So let's work off that a little bit and see if we can finalize something. So Shift Nation, 2 things. Number one, there's a ton of great stuff in the chat here that many of you can borrow, use, adopt into what you're doing. Lots of good ideas. But help Jeff out. What else you guys think on those bottom 3? He thinks we're on the right track here. So let's see if we can do this. Empowering. I saw empowering a lot. Attorneys with the solutions to problems, or empowering attorneys to make decisions, or what do you think it is there, Jeff?
Chris, that's
everyone's creative. Yeah, I think everyone's creative juices are going, right?
I think that I mean, if somebody were to ask me to encapsulate what I do, it's to help them understand and solve, right, the problems.
Okay.
Again, I don't think that I'm sorry, I do think that there's a lot of people that don't even know that they've got, what the problems are that lay ahead. And so on how, again, it goes back to the education. I think that's why I kind of like that education in there.
Okay. So something like that, and you like educating instead of empowering?
Yeah, I like educating.
To understand and solve the pitfalls in their journey, maybe. Before it's too late.
Because again, it's a challenge, Chris, only because I'm dealing with the 2-headed monster, right?
Yeah.
With the niche. So it's I really feel it's understanding and solving the problems that they don't know they have yet. So some take on that, and I think has to be sort of the underlying message.
Yeah. Well, I think, all right. So here's the opportunity to, and this is a good spot, right? I got a lot of ideas. I think this is part 2. You can use your experience, right? You can use your experience in here.
Yep.
All right. So so let's do one real quick, and then we're gonna end here just with time for everybody, and lots of good stuff here. Powering, yeah. Especially about the future, right? Okay. Experienced in educating attorneys on potential problems, right? So we say potential. This is where we can get the framework, right? And we can wordsmith it. Experienced in educating attorneys on potential problems in their career they don't know exist, to ensure This is where we just go. So let's look back here, right? I think let's see. Got lots of good comments that they might not know that, and I like that too. With, and you could say this, right, with solutions they didn't know exist,
Yep.
because I think you like that.
Yeah, I do like that.
I think I was going back in my mind because you said too, like the young guys, they got making all this money, they don't know how, they can't save enough to really replace that income in the future too.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, we're gonna stop there or pause there. So I'm gonna send these notes to you, Jeff. All a bunch of good stuff. I'm gonna bold this. We're gonna keep working on it. So, anyone that's interested in learning more about our program, we do coaching like this in a group setting all the time. So Jeff will bring this into group coaching on Tuesday and niche coaching. We can keep working through this too. But if you guys want to learn more, meet with advisorist.com. We'd love to have you in the program. Love for you to learn more. This is a huge pitfall. We see a lot of advisors falling. So Jeff, super appreciative of you joining us, sharing, being so open to everybody. All the comments, I mean, fantastic. I don't know how many we've had. This is probably our most interactive that I've seen so far. So thanks, Shift Nation, for joining us. Again, meet with advisorist.com. Jeff, what would you say to anyone out there just kind of struggling to take that next step and really jump into this thing?
Well, I'd say, Chris, you just got to take the plunge and look for help. And you and Brianna and Jeremiah and the rest of the people at Advisors have been excellent in helping me along the way so far. And I highly suggest that if you're not involved in the Shift program, or at the very least Advisors Max, I would do it, because it's huge resources. Amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Hey, thanks so much for joining us, Shift Nation. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.